The Windy City had always been my anchor, a concrete fortress against the chaos of my 20s. At 32, I was Alina Reyes, senior account executive at a mid-tier marketing firm on Michigan Avenue, the kind of place where ambition smelled like stale espresso and recycled air. My days blurred into spreadsheets and client calls, my nights into takeout Thai and Netflix binges that left me hollower than before. I'd come out in college, proud, fierce, waving the rainbow flag at pride parades, but love? That had evaded me like a bad investment. Men tried, women flirted in passing, but nothing stuck. Until the app. Sapphic Sparks, they called it, a haven for queer women seeking something real amid the swipe-right noise. It started innocently enough, or as innocent as late-night scrolling gets when insomnia is your only companion. Her profile pic was a silhouette against a sunset, golden light bleeding into the sea, evoking some far-off coast I'd only seen in travel mags. Bianca, it read. Artist. Dreamer. Chasing horizons in the land of flamenco and forgotten whispers. No age, no location beyond its Southern Europe. Intriguing, but not enough to hook me. Then the message, that gut punch opener about last summer. I froze, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Last summer. I'd spent it buried in work, nursing a breakup with a barista named Jess who ghosted me after 6 months of half-hearted dates. Nothing scandalous. Nothing worth haunting. Curiosity won. Bold claim for a stranger, I typed back, hitting send before regret could intervene. Her reply came in seconds, not a stranger. Just a shadow you've yet to name. Tell me, Alina, what's the one secret you'd burn the world to keep? It was poetry laced with peril, the kind that makes your pulse stutter. We messaged through the night, words flowing like contraband wine. She probed gently at first, my love for old jazz records, the way Chicago's winters carved ice into my bones, then deeper, unearthing the fractures, my Mexican-American mom who raised me solo after dad bailed, the abuela's stories of resilience that I clung to like rosaries. In return, she painted her world in vivid strokes, sun-baked hills of Andalusia, the sizzle of paella in hidden courtyards, a life untethered from the grind that choked me. By dawn, I was hooked. Bianca wasn't just words, she was a mirror reflecting the parts of me I'd buried under TPS reports. We switched to voice notes, her accent a melodic lilt, American roots peeking through the Spanish inflections, like she'd been transplanted young and bloomed wild. I grew up in a sleepy suburb outside Philly, she confessed one rainy Tuesday, her laugh like wind chimes in a storm. But Spain. It's where I found my colors. What about you, city girl? Ever danced under stars that feel close enough to touch? I hadn't, but God, I wanted to. With her. Weeks blurred into a rhythm, morning commute soundtracked by her latest ramble about sketching olive groves, lunch breaks dissecting my latest office drama, she'd cackle at my impressions of the boss, a blowhard named Gary with a comb-over that defied gravity. Evenings, we'd video call when her signal allowed, her face filling my screen like a forbidden canvas. Late 20s, she guessed when I pressed, porcelain skin dusted with freckles across a button nose, blue eyes that held tempests, blonde hair cascading like she'd stepped from a Renaissance dream. Me. The pragmatic foil, dark curls tamed into a bob, brown eyes sharp from too many negotiations, curves hugged by power suits that hid the softness I rarely showed. It was romantic, yes, but laced with drama from the start. She'd drop hints of a shadowed past, lost a piece of myself to the sea once, that left me aching to mend her. I'd share my own ghosts, the fear that I'd end up like Mom, fierce but alone, pouring love into ledgers instead of laps. You're not alone anymore, she'd whisper, her voice a balm. We're building something real, Alina. Promise me you'll trust the pole. Trust. That word haunted our early months. My friends, Sarah, the sharp-tongued lawyer who dragged me to dyke bars, Marco, the straight ally who baked empanadas on Sundays, warned me. Online. In another country. Sounds like a catfishing symphony, Sarah said over margaritas one night, her eyeliner smudged from laughing. But I waved them off. This felt different. Electric. When she sent a package, a leather-bound sketchbook filled with drawings of us, imagined, me laughing on a Madrid balcony, her sketching my profile by firelight, I melted. Come see me, the note read. Let me make you believe in horizons. The invitation landed like a grenade in my inbox, mid-October, as Lake Michigan whipped itself into frenzy outside my window. Fly to Malaga. 2 weeks. Unpaid leave be damned, Gary grumbled but signed off, muttering about personal growth. Mom cried when I told her, equal parts pride and worry, Mija, hearts are trickier than oceans. Swim careful. I packed light, sundresses I'd never worn, a playlist of her favorite flamenco mixes, and a vulnerability I hadn't aired since college. The flight was a blur of nerves and churros at layovers. Touchdown in Malaga hit like a fever dream, palm trees swaying against azure skies, the air thick with salt and jasmine. She waited at arrivals, realer than pixels, Bianca, in a linen shift that hugged her lithe frame, a wildflower crown tucked into her hair. 30, maybe, but with the ageless glow of someone who'd wrestled angels. Our hug was tentative, then fierce, her scent of citrus and clay enveloping me, her whisper hot against my ear, "You're even more than the shadows promised." That first week was romance distilled, lazy mornings in her whitewashed casita on the outskirts of a hilltop village, where terracotta roofs huddled like old lovers. We'd wander cobbled streets hand in hand, her guiding me through tapas bars alive with guitar strums and laughter that rolled like thunder. She'd sketch me amid almond blossoms, her fingers tracing my jawline with charcoal that smudged like secrets. Nights, we'd dance barefoot to records spinning in her sun-dappled living room, her body close but chaste, a slow burn of glances and grazed knuckles that built tension like a gathering storm. "You're my downfall, you know," I teased one evening, as we shared sangria on her rooftop, the Sierra Nevada mountains bruising purple in the dusk. "Chicago feels like a dream I outgrew." She smiled, but shadows flickered in her eyes, gone before I could name them. "And you're my redemption, Alina. The one who saw through the mist." Deeper we fell, confessions spilling like wine. She spoke of her fractured family, a father lost to the bottle, a mother who'd fled to Spain for reinvention, leaving teenaged Bianca to fend for echoes. Art school dropout, she'd scraped by with murals for tourists, pouring pain into pigment. I shared my own scars, the ex who cheated with my roommate, the corporate ladder that left blisters on my soul. "With you," I said, our foreheads touching under a canopy of stars, "I feel seen. Whole." But cracks spiderwebbed early. Her phone would buzz at odd hours, silence with a flick of her thumb. "Work," she'd murmur, but her sketches grew darker, jagged lines evoking storms I'd never weathered. One night, after a village fiesta where we twirled until breathless, I found her on the balcony, staring at the sea like it owed her answers. "What's haunting you, Bianca?" I asked, wrapping my arms around her waist from behind. She stiffened, then turned, her blue eyes glassy. "Old ghosts, amor. They don't drown easy." We made love to the rhythm of waves that night, not urgent, but tender, a communion of breaths and whispered vows. Yet dawn brought unease, her pillow cold when I woke, a half-finished letter on the table, "Dearest A, if you knew the truth." I pocketed it, heart pounding. "Trust," she'd said. But trust is a fragile vine in foreign soil. As days waned, the drama thickened. We'd hike coastal paths where wild thyme crushed underfoot, her stories weaving magic, legends of Moorish lovers defying kings. But interruptions mounted, a call from an old friend that left her ashen, a locked studio I glimpsed through a keyhole, canvases slashed with red ochre like wounds. "Private," she insisted when I pressed, her laugh forced. "Artists are mad, remember." Madness suited her, until it didn't. On the 10th day, storm clouds swallowed the sun, mirroring the tempest in my gut. We argued over nothing, a delayed dinner, my jet lag fraying nerves, escalating to everything, her evasions, my insecurities. "You're holding back," I shouted, rain lashing the windows like accusations. "If this is real, why the walls?" She recoiled, face crumpling. Because some truths shatter, Alina. And I can't lose you to mine. We reconciled in the downpour, apologies soaked into skin, but the seed of doubt took root. That night, insomnia drove me to her studio. The door yielded to my touch, unlocked, a rare slip. Inside, chaos, easels toppled, paint splattered like confessions. And there, pinned to the wall amid the frenzy, a photo. Faded, creased. Me, at 22, college graduation, arms slung around a laughing brunette. Jess. My ex. But scrawled across it in Bianca's looping script, she was mine first. Forgive me, sister. Sister. The word detonated. I stumbled back, the room spinning. Not blood, God, no, but something worse. Jess's little sister. Bianca, the kid who'd idolized us from afar, crashing our parties with wide-eyed awe. The one who'd vanished after Jess and I imploded, fleeing to Spain on a scholarship we'd helped fund. And now. This. A love born of ashes, twisted by time into something poetic and profane. Betrayal bloomed, hot and thorny. I fled to the balcony, rain mingling with tears, the sea roaring its indifference. When she found me, dawn breaking like a bruise, her voice cracked, Alina, wait, I can explain. But explanations are daggers, and mine was already bleeding. The cliffside path wound like a vein through the Andalusian hills, salt wind whipping my hair into a frenzy as I stormed ahead, Bianca's pleas trailing like smoke. Alina, poor favor, stop. It's not what you think. Her voice broke over the crash of waves far below, but I couldn't, not yet. The photo burned in my pocket, a talisman of deceit. Sister. How had I missed it? The subtle echoes in her laugh, the way she'd coax stories of Jess from me like confessions, mining my regrets for her own map home. We'd come here for solace, a healing hike, she'd suggested that morning, post-argument, her eyes pleading for a reset. Now, it was reckoning. I spun at the path's edge, where scrubby pines clung to rock like desperate fingers, the Mediterranean churning cobalt below. Not what I think. You stalked me, Bianca. Lurked in the shadows of my past, spun lies into love. For what? Closure. Revenge on the ex who broke your heart by proxy. She halted paces away, chest heaving, her sundress plastered translucent by mist. Rain from last night's storm lingered in droplets on her lashes, making her look ethereal, broken porcelain. 28, I calculated now, piecing the timeline, Jess and I'd split 5 years back, Bianca would have been 23, adrift in the wreckage. Revenge? She laughed, bitter as bile. God, no. It was survival. After you too. After Jess shattered, I shattered too. She promised we'd be family, Alina. Me, the awkward tagalong, finally belonging. Then poof, gone. I followed her ghost to Spain, buried it in paint. Until I saw your profile. That spark. You, carrying her light without the burn. Her words landed like stones in still water, rippling through my defenses. I'd always pitied Bianca back then, the gangly teen with paint-streaked overalls, orbiting our orbit like a moth. Jess had doted, calling her little sis, but it was surface, affection without roots. When Jess cheated, left me gutted, I'd written Bianca off as collateral. Cruel, in hindsight. But this? Rebuilding on ruins. You could have told me, I whispered, voice raw against the wind. From the start. Hey, remember me? The kid your girlfriend forgot. Instead, you wove this web, online whispers, sketches that felt like fate. It was manipulation, Bianca. Beautiful, but poison. Tears carved paths down her cheeks, mingling with sea spray. She stepped closer, the cliff's edge a silent witness. Manipulation. Maybe at first. The app was a whim, sapphic sparks popped up in Philly on a visit home, and there you were. Strong, surviving. I messaged to test to see if you'd remember. But then, Alina, you answered. You shared. It wasn't a game anymore. It was oxygen. You breathed life into my ghosts. The drama of it clawed at me, our love a house of cards, trembling in revelation's gale. I wanted to hate her, to hurl the photo into the abyss and board the next flight to O'Hare. But her eyes, those storm-blue depths, held no malice. Only hunger. For me. For us. And the package. The drawings. Those were real, she pressed, voice fracturing. Every stroke. I fell, Alina. Harder than I planned. That's why I hid, the fear you'd run if you knew. But running. That's my legacy. Not anymore. Thunder grumbled distant, a prelude to the storm within. I sank to the damp earth, knees buckling, the world tilting. Memories flooded, Jess's betrayal, the nights I'd howled into Chicago's gales, vowing never again. Yet here, in this sun-scorched exile, love had smuggled itself in, disguised as destiny. You should have trusted me, I said finally, the words a bridge or a break. We could have built honest. Now. It's tainted. She knelt beside me, tentative, her hand hovering before settling on mine, warm, calloused from brushes. Then let me untaint it. Stay. Let me show you the truth of me, not the shadow. I pulled away, but not far. The path back to the casita stretched endless, choices forking like lightning. We walked in silence, her presence a gravity I couldn't shake. That afternoon, holed up as skies darkened, she unlocked the studio. See, she said, gesturing to the chaos. Canvases chronicled her unraveling, abstract fury post-Jess, then softer evolutions, my face emerging from abstracts, a phoenix from her pain. One piece stopped me cold, us, imagined on this very cliff, entwined against the horizon. Not lovers yet, but souls colliding. This was before the invite, she murmured. When I realized I couldn't let shadows win. Emotion surged, a tide of what-ifs. We talked through the deluge, hours bleeding into evening, sangria forgotten for tea steeped in truths. She confessed the calls, a gallery owner pushing for her breakthrough series, inspired by lost love. The letter. A draft apology to Jess, never sent. You're not her echo, Alina. You're the verse I didn't know I needed. By nightfall, tentative peace, a shared meal of gazpacho and crusty bread, laughter flickering like candle flame. But conflict simmered. My leave ticked down, reality loomed in emails from Gary, Sarah's worried texts, alive? Or swept into some flamenco fantasy. I ached for Chicago's grit, yet dreaded its grip, back to cubicles, solitude. The high point came midweek, a festival in the village square, lanterns swaying, guitars weeping under star-pricked skies. Bianca pulled me into the throng, her hand firm in mine. Dance with me, she urged, and I did, body swaying to rhythms ancient as the stones, her breath on my neck a promise. In that whirl, betrayal faded to bruise, love asserted itself, fierce and flawed. We stole away to a shadowed alcove, kisses salt-tinged and slow, the world narrowing to her touch. Not consummation, but connection, lips brushing like prayers, hands mapping contours with reverence. You're my horizon, I whispered against her skin, the words a vow snatched from the wind. But drama, that cruel curator, had one more act. Dawn next day brought a knock, insistent, foreign. Bianca paled at the door, ushering in a woman, mid-40s, sharp-suited, American accent slicing the air. Elena Voss, she introduced, extending a manicured hand. Gallery rep from New York, sniffing opportunity. But her eyes on Bianca held possession, not patronage. Your series, the echoes, it's gold. But we need the full narrative. The muse. Her story. My stomach nodded. Muse? Elena's gaze flicked to me, appraising. The ex's echo, yes. Jess mentioned. Jess. The name detonated anew. Elena, oblivious, prattled, commissioned by my old flame herself, who, post our split, had funneled guilt into art grants, tracking Bianca's rise. Betrayal's echo chamber, Jess, puppeteering from afar, turning our pain into profit. Bianca's face drained to ash. You knew. All this time. Elena faltered. It was business. Inspiration sells. Rage boiled in me, not at Bianca, but the web we'd snared in. I stormed out, village streets blurring, heart a war drum. Bianca caught me at the square's edge, Elena's heels clicking retreat. Elena, wait, it's not. Everyone's complicit. I whirled, voice cracking. Jess pulls strings, Elena cashes in, and you. You painted my ghost for her applause. Tears welled in her eyes, but fire kindled too. No. The series started before her grant. It was my exorcism, then yours, when you came. I rejected her last offer. This, she clutched my arms, desperate, this is us. Real. Don't let their shadows steal it. Climax crested there, under noon sun baking the plaza stones. Villagers milled oblivious, but our world narrowed to fury and fear. I shoved her back, gentle, but firm, years of guarded heart fracturing. I came for you, Bianca. Flew across oceans for a lie layered on lies. How do I trust now? How do I know this isn't another canvas for someone else's gaze? She staggered, then steadied, voice a raw hymn, because I'd burn every brush, every grant, to keep you. You're not an echo, Elena. You're the silence after the storm, the peace I chase. We stood, breaths mingling, the square's bustle a distant hum. Choice loomed, flight or fight. I chose fight, not with fists, but words, unearthing the rot. Then prove it. Cut the cords. Tell Jess, Elena, everyone, that this ends with you choosing us. She nodded, solemn as sacrament. That night, calls fired like flares, voicemails to Jess, crisp emails to Elena. No more, Bianca declared, phone hurled into the sea from our cliff. Just us. Flawed, but free. Relief washed in, but not without cost. My flight loomed in days, the betrayal's scar would linger, a reminder that love's drama demands reckoning. Yet in her arms that eve, as stars wheeled above, I glimpsed redemption, not flawless, but human. Tangled roots yielding fragile blooms. The final days in Andalusia unfolded like a fragile truce, each moment laced with the bittersweet tang of impending goodbye. Mornings, we'd rise to the coo of doves in the casita's courtyard, brewing coffee strong as resolve, sharing silences that spoke volumes. Bianca's sketches lightened, playful now, me amid market stalls haggling for figs, her laughter lines deepening as she captured my mock scowl. See, she'd say, charcoal-dusted fingers tracing the page. No ghosts. Just you. Radiant. But the undercurrent pulled, my suitcase, half-packed on the bedroom floor, a sentinel of separation. Chicago called, Gary's emails escalating from nagging to nuclear. Reyes, your Q4 projections better not evaporate in sangria. Sarah's texts veered from snarky to sisterly, spill, girl. Is she worth the visa stamp on your heart? Mom, ever the oracle, Skyped with eyes like polished obsidian, Mija, love's not a vacation. It's the work between storms. Does she meet you there? She did, in fragments. Afternoons, we'd roam the coast, Rhonda's gorge-straddling bridge, where wind howled through ancient stone, mirroring our mended fractures. There, hand in hers, I confessed the deepest cut, not the betrayal, but the fear it unearthed. I built walls after Jess, I admitted, leaning over the precipice where river far below carved canyons. Thought love was a ledger, debits, credits. You snuck past, showed me its poetry. Messy, but alive. What if I can't carry that home? Bianca's gaze held the horizon, steady as the rock beneath us. Then I'll follow. Not chase, walk beside. I've got a showing in Barcelona next spring, after, stateside. Philly's close enough to your windy throne. Her smile teased, but eyes earnest. We're not done, Alina. This is chapter 1. Romance rekindled in those stolen hours, picnics under cork oaks, her head in my lap as I read aloud from Lorca, verses of Duende that mirrored our fire. No grand gestures, but quiet intimacies, her braiding wildflowers into my hair, me massaging knots from her shoulders after a day easeling under olive shade. Emotion swelled, a tide cresting toward climax's echo, the confrontation we'd survived, forging something tempered. Yet conflict lingered, insidious as sea fog. The night before departure, it crested anew. We'd planned a farewell feast, homemade tortilla, candles guttering against the casita's white walls. But midway through, her phone, resurrected for logistics, buzzed. Unknown number. She glanced, paled, silenced it. Spam, she muttered, but the lie hung heavy. Who? I pressed, fork clattering. Trust's vine, newly twined, quivered. She sighed, deflating. Jess. One last olive branch, for old times. I blocked her, but she knows you're here. Through Elena, probably. Rage flickered, then ebbed to sorrow. And you didn't tell me. Again. Not hiding, protecting. Us. Her voice cracked, hands trembling as she pushed back from the table. I thought we'd buried it. I rose, pacing the tiled floor, cool under bare feet. Buryings for corpses, Bianca. This, us, it's alive. Secrets fester. The room closed in, candles casting our shadows long and accusatory. Drama's final bow, not explosion, but implosion, hearts laid bare in the quiet war. She stood, bridging the gap, her touch a question. Then exhume it. Tell me how to fix this. Yell, cry, anything but leave with doubt. Tears came then, unbidden, mine, hers, mingling as we collapsed onto the rug, bodies curling like question marks. I don't want to fix, I sobbed, her hair silk against my cheek. I want to believe. In you. In this pull that dragged me across the world. Vulnerability poured, my Chicago armor, forged in betrayals, cracking under her gaze. Her own flood, the orphan ache of Jess's abandonment, amplified by my unwitting role as the other woman in her sibling saga. I loved you before I knew your name, she whispered. Not as Echo, as Alina. The woman who answered a mad message and changed my palette forever. We held through the night, words weaving repair, boundaries drawn, like no contact without full sun, promises etched in dawn's light. By morning, exhaustion yielded clarity, not perfection, but path. At the airport, amid the bustle of Malaga's terminal, families reuniting, lovers parting, our goodbye was no tear-soaked tragedy, but humanistic grace. She pressed a final sketch into my palm, us, walking a bridge over gorges, hands linked, storms behind. See you in the verses between, she said, kiss lingering like salt on lips. The flight home blurred, turbulence mirroring my soul's churn. Chicago greeted with sleet-snarled traffic, the loop's neon a prodigal's welcome. Back in my apartment, Lakeview's skyline mocking with its unyielding grid, I unpacked, sundresses folded with care, sketchbook open to our cliffside embrace. Downfall? Perhaps. But also uprising, from office drone to woman who chased horizons, claimed a love worth the wreckage. Months later, spring thawed the city. Bianca's emails arrived like manna, Barcelona triumphs, Philly scouting. Room for a painter in your skyline? One read, attachment a ticket stub, her flight, inbound. I met her at O'Hare, heart a drumbeat against ribs. She emerged from gates, easel case slung like a sword, eyes scanning until they locked, tempests calm to seas. Our hug was homecoming, fierce, unscripted, the terminal's chaos fading to our rhythm. We built from there, slow, deliberate. Weekends in my shoebox flat, her paints transforming walls into Andalusian dreams, my spreadsheets yielding to jazz nights where she'd sway, pulling me into twirls. Conflicts arose, her free-spirited drift clashing my structured tide, Jess's shadow flickering in therapy sessions we braved together. But each storm strengthened the bridge, apologies honed to art, trust a garden we tended. One winter eve, snow blanketing Grant Park like forgiveness, we walked hand in hand, breaths clouding the air. Downfall? She teased, echoing the ghosts we'd slain. I squeezed her fingers, skyline aglow. No. Awakening. You, me, writing the story they couldn't. Humanistic, our ending, not fairy tale gloss, but earned light. In Chicago's fierce embrace, with Spain's whisper in our veins, we chose each other, flaws and all. Love, it turns out, isn't downfall. It's the climb after the fall, hands clasped against the wind. And in that, we soared.